Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again inside our Home Field Credit Union Studio B as we present this week's edition of the Milford Informer. I am your host, Tim Coet. This past week brought us a taste of spring, as well as the joy of yet another championship trophy for our Boston teams. Here at Milford, we had a chance to cover some exciting news from the high school athletic department as well as the senior center. Let's check out the details on those stories and more as we bring you tonight's top stories rundown. Tonight, we'll give you a chance to hear from the coaches and athletes from the Milford Indoor Track Team and the Swim Team as both programs celebrate division championship seasons. Also tonight, Ryan Farrell shares her Milford TV member report on the upcoming Milford Senior Center Valentine's Day Tea Party, which will feature food and entertainment courtesy of a pair of local high schools. And later in sports, we will have highlights you do not want to miss from this past Tuesday's battle for second place in the Davenport Division between the Milford boys basketball team and the Foxboro Warriors. It's been a championship season already for a pair of Milford winter sports programs. The Milford swim team added another Davenport Division title to their lengthy resume. And for indoor track, the boys were able to take home the very first Davenport title in school history. With so many individual and group accomplishments for these two programs, I went over to the high school this week to speak to both the teams as well as AD Peter Boucher.
As I've said multiple times, this is the most difficult league in Massachusetts. It's probably the most difficult league in New England for all 30 sports that the Hockomock League sponsors. So anytime we win a championship, we consider that to be a tremendous accomplishment. We try to make a big deal out of it for the kids because championships don't happen every day. We average a couple a year, which is really good for our school size. But this is kind of a bookend situation for our boys indoor track team. This is their first championship in school history that we're aware of. We're doing the research. I still need to talk to former athletic director Nick Zakili. There are no banners on the wall, so that indicates to us that this is the first one ever, which is amazing. That's a great memory, for the kids. And to talk a little bit about indoor track, coming here a couple years ago, there's been an entire evolution and revolution with that indoor track program. Previously we'd have one bus half full of boys and girls. You'd be lucky to be sending 22, 23 combined girls into Reggie Lewis Center. Now we're on the cusp of needing almost 3 buses. We have 2 buses that are full. Derek Rose, Glenn O'Connor, and really Michelle Savoy, who is a Division I URI gal and Milford grad alumni. They've really transformed our indoor track program.
Every year, we've built a little bit more. I think a lot of it has to do with just taking the kids that are really into it and really trying to foster that talent, and trying to just take it serious. Sometimes it was kids would say, "Oh, it's just track," and they'd leave and do other things, or it would be Monday through Friday thing, and then they'd leave on Saturday or whatever. But I think they really bought into really wanting to be champions and breaking records, and I think that's one of their main goals is to try to break records and try to get as many medals as possible.
League champs, first time ever. It means probably a lot to everyone. I'm not sure everybody knows on the team yet, but I'm sure they'll know when we have the first ever banner, which is going to feel good.
It's pretty exciting. We worked hard all season, especially through all the weather and stuff, and we're just happy to have it.
This year we broke the 4x400 on the girls' side. I think we broke that last year as well, but we broke it by another 6 seconds. So now it's down to 4:17 on the girls' side with Carrie O'Connor. We had Bella Gonzalez, Lexi Marcolini, and Sienna Pierce. So only one of those is a senior. Sienna's graduating this year, but everyone else is underclassmen. The sprint medley we broke on the boys' side. That's the one that's going to nationals with Joey Madden, Raph Feliciano, Hugo Lopes, and Zach Brown. And we're getting close to the girls' 300 with Kerry, who's a sophomore, Kerry O'Connor. And Zach Brown's about 0.2 of a second away from the hurdle record. So we hope he'll break it on Saturday, if not the next Saturday. So we're trying to keep just driving towards those, incremental goals that will lead us to, bigger and better things.
It's going to be really exciting. It's all of our first times. going to nationals for any sports, but it'll be an experience to go to the next level.
Qualifying, especially in the sprint medley relay, is difficult because you get to run it once a year. So they had one shot, and they knew it, and they all ran at PR level or broke their PR by a big amount. I know Hugo ran the anchor leg, Hugo Lopes, and he ran a 50.9 in the 400, and he's never run anything lower than 52. So having that extra was great. And then Joey Madden ran a 158 in the 800 piece of that, and that's just flying for the middle of the winter, you know. So, and then the other guys run the 200s. They ran right around their PRs as well, about 24 seconds. So it's pretty crazy for those guys that don't really get the time to do handoffs together because Joey's running with the distance group, and the other guys are hurdling or, you know, running their own workouts. But they came together that one day, and it just like clicked, you know. And they're really pumped about going, but they were really excited about just the prospect of doing it. And they kept saying, like, Coach, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And I was like, guys, we say that every year. I know, but they did it, and they proved me wrong. So they really did a great job.
I joined the team my freshman year, and that year we went 1-4, and it's just been really exciting to see the program grow throughout the years. We had some great runners in years past. 2017 specifically, they broke a lot of school records, but it's just been really great to see the program grow, see a lot of kids come out and break a lot of records, watch the team get better.
Yeah, like I don't know about like you, but like for me, it's like always been like a dream to like have a school record, like win the league and all that. Like, and yeah, it just feels pretty good to have that in our books. Yeah.
I think the middle school program is huge for us to continue to get kids to want to come out and run track. And I teach at Stacy, so some of them will have in there and they'll talk about their times and be like, Coach, how would this be on the varsity team or so and so? You know what I mean? So they're getting excited about it, and they see that like they make states in junior high or middle school, and then just keep going from there. So they're like excited about it, and there's kids that like, want to throw shot put, and you don't really get that, So I think it's a pretty great thing, and I think we're going to be pretty competitive for years to come because of that.
One thing we've tried to do is establish or reestablish an expectation of excellence, a culture, if you will. They expect to win every race, every throw, every jump. We expect to win every meet that they go to. And the proof is in the end of the meet when you look at how many points you have. They've done a nice job. And for the boys to win in this league is phenomenal. Coming from a guy who competed in this league, coached in this league, in indoor track, it's as good as it gets. So for me, personally and professionally, I'm ecstatic over them winning. Swim is on the other side. Like I said, you have the bookends. Swim, Coach Chaplin, Coach Chappie, to those of us that know him, he has had an excellent program since the 70s, as far as I can tell, my research and working with him and talking to, again, Nick Sakili, Rich Pierre Gustavo, and all the folks that have been here. That has just, you talk about one team starting, their sort of their history of excellence. The other team, that's all they know. There's a culture when you join that team as a freshman that they're simply going to work hard, they're going to win races, and they're going to win meets, and in the end they're going to win championships. I've had the great fortune in my 5 years here, they've been Hockomock League champions 4 times. And the one time that we didn't make it, it was just a narrow margin. So he has a lot to do with that. He's sort of the patriarch, in my opinion, of Milford boys swimming and girls swimming too. Most recently, Kate Janosko has taken over the girls team the last couple of years. She's done a tremendous job. She's a swim guru in her own right. And I think that both head coaches would tell you that Oliver Michalewski, we've added him as an assistant coach. He's taken over and had a lot of input of the training.
Each year, getting it last, you kind of think going into next year, like, we're losing people, are we still going to be able to keep it together and hold it together? We kind of proved that we could. And we did a full undefeated season, which is nothing that we had done in the past, 10 years or so. We haven't seen anything like that. And, it took a lot of dedication. A lot of the kids who were freshmen last year and sophomores last year, a lot of them stepped up this year, really took on the mantle of just not even being an upperclassman even yet, but just knowing they had to put in the hard work to get there, and they really sacrificed to put it through for the year.
We've been a strong program for the last few years, especially with strong swimmers like Gianni and Nick Antonellis. We're probably going to swim in college, but just the depth we've had is superior to most teams out there. Just speaks to Milford as a town, and our school and the dedication of the team and the coaches.
A lot of girls this season have PR'd, gotten like personal record times, and it's kind of like felt to me like more than usual, especially at Hawks. Like everybody
at Hawks,
basically
put in their all, and I was so appreciative of that.
Yeah.
And I think this year, like, we had a couple of really like important seniors that graduated last year, and we were really looking for just the team to kind of come back together and rebuild and reconstruct this year without some of those like older girls.
And even with some of our newer swimmers too, they've had a great season, starting off with races that they've never seen before, and that's really important, coming from either from a rec team or from never swimming on a competitive team at all, into joining a competitive team and doing specific races. That can be really hard, and I think especially some of our freshmen did really well adjusting to the team.
Now that the regular season's over and we already won the Davenport, it's a lot more individual, like qualify as states, but we're still working together as a team in our relays and everything, and we're still definitely practicing as a team and working together, supporting each other. No one's going individual and just like going by themselves. We're all still in it together.
Really what it comes down to is it comes down to Milford tradition. Even though this is the first championship for the indoor track team, and it's the latest in a long line of championships for the swim team, it's about establishing expectations, holding kids accountable, and getting kids to buy in and work hard and believe that every time we hit the water, every time we hit the Reggie Lewis Center, we're not trying to win, we're going to win. We're going to find a way to win, and I think, we've reestablished that in a lot of programs, and we owe that to the folks that have competed before us. We really do. For me, it's just about trying to reestablish and then continue to establish and expect excellence, and that's really, it's a 24-hour job, but it's a labor of love. It's what we do. So I'm very proud of the coaches. I'm very proud of the kids that have done that.
The Milford Senior Center will celebrate Valentine's Day next week with a festive tea party. The event not only serves as a source of fun and entertainment for the seniors, but also an opportunity for students from both Milford High School and BVT to hone their skills in the culinary and performing arts. To learn more about this event, let's hear from Ryan Farrell as she provides the following Milford TV member report.
Hello everyone, Ryan Farrell here at the Milford Senior Center, and I'm chatting with Nancy Potter to find out what exciting things they have going on down here. So Nancy, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate that very much. And our larger focus, we also have our annual tea party that's coming up on Thursday, February 14th. It's on Valentine's Day, and again, that will be held at 12:30 p.m. It's a wonderful event. We have students from Blackstone Vocational Technical High School. The girls, the students there will come, they make all the tea sandwiches for us. They come and they prepare the tea as well as serving the sandwiches and the tea to all of our guests at the tea party. So it's a really big event.
It's a great event that we do at the Milford Senior Center. We've been doing it for several years now. We get to make all little sandwiches for them, and scones and pastries. And then once we get there for the day of the event, we plate everything up and help with tea delivery and refilling all the food and get to interact with all the seniors. And it's a great opportunity.
It's much easier with practice, of course. It was the nerves that got us all the first year.
How much time and energy and everything goes into planning an event, especially like this one?
A lot of time and dedication for sure. We prep for weeks and make sure to have everything done on time and off to the Senior Center in Milford. We have to prepare transport and all the foods, and we want to change it up every year to make sure we're getting like a variety of things. So it does take some brain work to switch it up and time to figure out transportation and how we're getting there and what we're making.
We have a desserts person and they pick what they want to make for the week, but we also have set items on the menu that they also make. So there's like ice cream parfaits. Right now they're doing creme brulee.
I typically serve to the Senior Center. It's very nice being able to see them and try and make their days a little bit better and have something eventful going on.
I think it's awesome, and it would be great for more people to come in and get to experience it.
We're open Tuesday through Friday from 10:30 to 12:45, and all of our hours and our menus are posted on our webpage under the community. And you can come in, you can call, make a reservation, you can walk in. We just always try to say, like, make sure we're open that day. So yeah, you can come in. We have people come in from parties of one to different functions that we have 60 plus people.
Even more than practicing their craft and trade, it's life skills. Your students, do they look forward to this event very much?
Yes, they definitely do. They like to get out in the community, interacting with people and seeing, you know, other places that they could even get employment afterwards. Yeah, it's a fun time.
We have the Milford High School quartet students from Milford High School that will be coming, and they'll also be playing for the seniors that day. It's a wonderful event. Matthew Baudet is the orchestra conductor for that, and we look forward to seeing everybody on that day.
So we do a lot of things in the community. Again, this is my first year being in quartet, so I'm not exactly super experienced, but we did do something for the Lions Club. We will do things to promote the music program within the school, and our next upcoming gigs are we're playing for school committee as well as doing the Valentine's Day gig at the Senior Center.
And how much preparation and practice goes into preparing for something of this nature?
So for something like quartet, a lot of the things are actually shorter notice. So we get the music maybe a week and a half or so before the gig, and then we'll play it at the gig. The thing is that we do rehearse every day, almost. So every school day, except for 1 out of 7 days we drop, but almost every school day we end up rehearsing our quartet music, which allows us to put pieces together pretty quickly.
What makes the string quartet perform out in the community at all these different events?
It's a really good way to show off the Milford music program without having to bring a bunch of people outside of school, because a lot of our gigs happen during school. It's hard to take everybody out of class. So the quartet is a good way to bring a little piece of the string program and show off what the Milford school system is doing with music. It also allows us to be kind of active in the community, which is always a good thing.
That truly is a winning combination for everybody involved. It gives the students practice in their trades and crafts, and the seniors just get to enjoy, and they've more than earned it.
Right. And I think it's important, as you said, for the students to be able to interact with our seniors, because that's going to be them as a grandparent or just as a parent one day dealing with their parents as they get older. And I think that's the thing these days is, as our age, we have the aging parents, so we have to become more patient, and it's a good thing to be able to be involved with them and let them know that there are people here that want to do things for them and make them feel comfortable and provide a nice environment for exercising and just having fun and have a socialization, which is really important for our seniors.
Community, it's something the town of Milford and just the world in general is in desperate need of these days. So I know that we appreciate it very much, and we're looking forward to having a spot of tea with you, Nancy Dolly.
Yes, we are looking forward to it, and we can't wait to have it. Like I said, our seniors, they have to bring your hats. Don't forget to bring your hats to our tea party and their teacup.
Well, chip, chip, cheerio. That's all for now, folks. We'll see you at the tea party.
It has been a fascinating roller coaster ride of a season for the boys basketball team. Every time they've looked to be making progress, they suffer a difficult loss. And just when you think their hopes for a playoff spot are waning, they come up with a gutsy win. The boys were hoping to finally break that pattern of inconsistency on Tuesday. The Hawks were coming off of a win on the road against Sharon and were desperately hoping to make it 2 in a row as they returned to the Milford gym for what was very close to a must-win game against second-place Foxboro. Let's take a look at full highlights of what went down in this massive Davenport Division showdown. Milford entered into Tuesday's game knowing they still controlled their own destiny when it comes to making the playoffs. To keep their playoff hopes strong, Milford needed to come away with a victory against one of their top Davenport rivals in the Foxboro Warriors. As it turned out, Foxboro would play this game without the services of their leading scorer, Brandon Board, but despite being down a man, the Warriors' offense still had plenty of firepower. After Foxboro earned their first 4 points at the free throw line, Warriors senior captain Anthony Malika was able to get inside and elevate over Brendan Saylor to give Foxboro their first points from the field. As the quarter went on, it would be sophomore Kevin Gallagher who would step to the forefront in the absence of Brandon Board.
A lot of height out on the floor right now for the Warriors, but they've still been able to attack the basket. Foxboro has exploited it big time now. Again, numbers up the floor. Darling goes flying, and meanwhile, back outside for Kevin Gallagher of Schofield right now with a decided size advantage over anyone else on the floor. And so as a result, Foxboro goes back outside, and Gallagher continues his red-hot start to the...
Milford would keep things close late in the period. Danny Corsini comes away from a scrum with possession, and as the Hawks push ahead in transition, Colby Perez is able to finish at the basket to keep it a one-possession game. But the Warriors would end up scoring the final 3 points of the first quarter to give themselves a 6-point lead after one. In their first meeting of the season, Foxboro used a second quarter explosion to give themselves a lead they would never relinquish. Despite the scene shifting to Milford for this game, the second quarter would end up taking on an eerily similar tone.
13 now. And Malika with more damage done, and Coach Seaver again frustrated. But Milford not getting that consistent effort as now Martin gets taken down on the defensive side. No whistle. And then the big shot knocked down by Kevin Gallagher. All kinds of time for Gallagher. Milford continuing to give Gallagher way too much space on the floor.
Foxboro would outwork Milford on both the offensive and defensive glass throughout the second quarter. They'd outscore the Hawks 20-12 over that span to give themselves a hefty 14-point lead as the teams reached the half. Milford would need to find a way to completely change the tone of the game if they hoped to climb their way back in as the second half began. Jordan Darling would look to do just that off the opening possession of the third quarter. He corrals the defensive rebound and then takes the ball the length of the floor through traffic and makes a nice move to finish at the rim. Then we'd see Dom Schofield once again showing off his outside shooting ability. He drains the shot to trim the deficit to 9. A few minutes later, Darling is able to gobble up the offensive rebound, and then he fights his way to the rim, getting the shot and the foul, and you could clearly see the rest of the team as well as the Milford student section were starting to feed off of Darling's energy. This time Milford is able to feed Schofield down low, and he has no problem using his height advantage to cut it to a 7-point game. Then it's back to Darling as he once again bodies up under the basket, bringing the Foxboro lead all the way down to 5 points with 2.5 minutes to go in the third. After seeing their lead crumble, Foxboro would go back to their outside shooting to bail them out in the final seconds of the quarter. Here it's big man Will Morrison calling for the ball out on the near wing, and he drains the shot. And then it's the lone active captain Anthony Malika who receives the pass at the top of the key, and despite having both Corsini and Vardaresian in his face, he's able to drill the three right at the buzzer to push the Warriors back up by 9 with 1 quarter left to play. Meanwhile, after a relatively quiet first 3 quarters, thanks in part to foul trouble, Milford senior captain Brendan White was ready to explode. It would start in a surprising spot for White, knocking down a pair of free throws that would allow Brendan to get locked in for the stretch run of this game.
Schofield finds Corsini, he lets it go well offline. White able to save it from going out of play. Darling able to pull down the pass, and Corsini again short. Here's White inside with the rebound and the putback. White relentless on that trip up the floor. Darling loops it into White. White can't get the bank off the glass, gets his own rebound, gets 2, and a chance for 3. Saylor will let it go, a chance to tie it, the shot no good. Here's White, he gets 2, and it's down to a 1-point game with 2.5 minutes left as timeout is called on the floor. Milford with an opportunity to take their first lead of this game as we tick down to 2 minutes to go. Foxboro has led it the whole way. Here's White. He gets the shot, and it is a 62-61 lead for the Scarlet Hawks with under 2 minutes to play.
There was simply no stopping the Scarlet Hawks from there. On the very next play, Brendan Saylor forces the turnover, and Danny Corsini finishes with the bucket to push it to a 3-point Milford lead. As Foxboro took the ball up the floor, desperate to stop the momentum, White would force the offensive foul, sending the Milford crowd into an absolute frenzy. White would put in one final Milford bucket in the closing seconds, giving him 15 points in the fourth quarter and 25 points in the game. The Warriors would give themselves a chance to tie it in the final seconds, but Kevin Gallagher's shot would be offline, and who else but Brendan White would secure the rebound to finish off a pulse-pounding comeback for the Scarlet Hawks. The celebration was on in the Milford gym as the Hawks got out a 66-63 win over Foxboro, pulling the two teams into a second-place tie in the Davenport standings. With that win, things have gotten very interesting for the boys moving forward. If they can hold on to their share of second place for the remainder of the season, they will advance to the playoffs. Milford also stands just a game behind Canton for first place in the Davenport division, with a head-to-head meeting between the two teams coming up in Canton a week from tonight. So not only do the Hawks control their own destiny for the playoffs, they also have the potential to play their way into a league championship, depending on how things go over the final stretch of the season. It should be a fascinating final 2 weeks. Our next coverage of the boys will be on Tuesday against Stoughton, and then we will have coverage of the Milford games in the Scarlet Hawk Classic to close out the regular season on February 18th and 20th. Well, that's going to wrap things up for this week's edition of The Informer. Remember, if you ever have an idea for a news story you'd like to see us cover, or if you know of an upcoming event in the Milford area you'd like to see us promote, you can reach out to me directly by sending an email to news@milfordtv.net. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. From all of us here at Milford TV, this is Tim Coet saying have a great week. So long, everybody.